Okay. So guys, right now, since you guys started JavaScript, what you guys need to do is project based, right? If you click projects, HTML, CSS, you guys have to finish all of this homework and then practice projects. And JavaScript, you guys should all of this start doing this. I mean, I know you guys do practicing, but the goal is you should be able to do on your own. That is the goal, okay? Because every project is designed to improve your specific skills. So you should, for example, counter you should be able to do on your own. To-do list. Some improving some small things, it's okay, but overall you should be able to do it. So, and when you learn JavaScript, there are two types of like DOM and then actual programming, right? Why DOM? Because at the end we use front-end developers, we use DOM a lot, even in React, but the JavaScript works with DOM. JavaScript works straight with the DOM, which means it goes to DOM, it changes. React works a little bit differently, but JavaScript reach to DOM and to change it. So you have to understand how DOM works, and you should be able to operate any kind of operation like adding event listener, like reaching out, getting data, and then parsing, and then all other operations. So we should learn how to do this. And right now, you guys should start all of the practicing, like easy questions and junior questions. So before we go to React, you guys have to finish easy, junior, and then medium questions. Okay. So here, right now, you guys supposed to be already finished at easy level questions. If not, please do it, and you should already start doing junior questions. Okay. So when we do one-on-ones, guys, I will go over. So you guys definitely should finish those. Okay, so today we will go over API and using connecting like backend, getting data, and then using the data. Okay, so now I will stop sharing my screen. Now let's discuss. So we all know server side and client side. How they communicate, or when we say communicate, what do we understand? Pictorial talk. Zarina, what do you understand when we say back front end and then back end? Well, most people call it client side. When client side communicates server side, what do you understand from this?
I think that on client side, we want to see some information, or I don't know, some to get some information, and to do that, we need to communicate with backside, which means we need to get some information from the backside to see it.
Okay,
So
yeah.
something like that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And Izada, like, give me like real life sample that you use daily basis.
When I type in like URL, it should open that particular website.
Okay, but
Registration.
okay, yeah, that is more generic, but let's say more specific one. For example, you go to YouTube, right? And then you search Kyrgyz music. And when you start Kyrgyz music, and then it technically it searches, right? But when
It does searches, yes, but it should also like play.
it play, but
It should like retrieve the information, return to you, and then render it, so you would be able to listen it, to see it, watch it.
yeah. So it has to go to backend, and then it has to search in the backend list of musics, and it brings and it renders on client side. So you could play or you can do other things. Okay, so that is a communication. So when we communicate with backend, there are different ways to communicate. So let's talk about these ways. Janar, tell me what. Oh, you guys keep telling me. What
We
kind
can
of
send a request using the keywords like get and put the parameters that we need, and then we can retrieve the information that we
So
need.
high level, we can tell that the first level communication, I mean, communication could be through HTTP, XHR communication, communication through HTTP. Okay. What else? What kind of communication? So explain general HTTP communication. You already said, right? HTTP communication is called short pulling, right? Which means short pulling is you go to backend, you ask for something, and you don't wait. Whatever they give, or if there is nothing, then they'll say, we don't have that information. And you go, and then you come back right away. So that is HTTP communication. And there are also different ways of communication. You guys know it, but you just cannot come up right now, but you guys know it. Let's do brainstorming. What else? Chat, for example. Yeah? Because in chat, you don't want to every time, like, for example, HTTP communication is good because client side controls it, right? When you need it, you go and then you come back. It means you don't know what is going on in backend. Only on client side, you initiate the communication. But what if you are talking to somebody? So two people talking to somebody, right? And at that point, and then there's a server in the middle, there's a server. And you need to go to the server and then ask, hey, do I have, you said first, your first message is, hi, Janar. Let's say Janar and I'm talking. I sent from, let's say WhatsApp. I said, hi, Janar. WhatsApp would be a little bit different, but let's say chat. I said, hi, Janar on chat. And my message from my client, my phone or my device, it goes to server, and from server it goes to Janar. Right? So that could be right now I'm sending it, but how it counts when Janar sends Janar replies to my message? How does it come to me? Because at that point I don't know if that message is there or not. So in this kind of communication, if we use HTTP, then what? Every second we just go there and then check if Janar responds or if Marat responds. That is not a good idea. Right? So there are different ways. The current communication way is not a good idea. So for chat, there are different ways of communication. Which means, have you guys heard anything? What do we use for chat?
I have
Karina,
no idea.
Rustam?
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't have an idea.
It's called the web socket. So web socket means real-time communication. Okay, so there is a HTTP communication and there's a real-time communication, and technology is a WebSocket, which means the communication between client side and server side is always open. So if I send something to message, it goes to it comes to other person right away. Why? Because the communication line is always open. you guys can think about like you guys talking on the phone. If somebody tells, it comes to right away. Why? Because communication is always open. Give me guys like a couple of minutes. Okay, guys, I am back, but just in case if baby cries, don't worry, guys. Okay, so we said WebSocket, and so these are the different ways of communication. But of course, there is also a couple other ways, like server sent events, but that's okay. This is overall just a general knowledge. So now let's talk about HTTP communication. So in any kind of application or any communication, for example, when backend and client side and server side, when they communicate, they can get data, right? What else they can do?
Send data.
They can send data, or in different ways.
Process of
We say it what?
response.
Now, instead of send, we use different word in communication.
Post.
Post, right? We can
Methods.
get data, we can post data. What else?
Delete.
We can delete data.
Update.
We can update data, which in HTTP's way, we say it what?
Patch.
Patch or put. Okay. So, and these are HTTP. Let me, guys. Let's quickly go over this slide. Okay. So get, post, and then when we get data, right, that will be response. And so get, post, put, patch, delete, they're all what? They're all methods. HTTP methods. Okay. HTTP is a communication. HTTP is a communication. And it has 5 methods. And request means like sending, and the response means when we get data. What is a header?
It provides the data type which we're sending.
It provides like data. Yeah, technically, when you send data, or when you, let's say you are on YouTube and you are searching or any kind of like information, when you do these operations, sometimes you have to provide details like data details in header. Like what? Like what is the type of data are you trying to get, right? Or sometimes that API could be public or API could be private, which means, for example, if you are YouTube, you don't want to provide data to everybody they ask, right? You'll be asking some kind of authentication. So authentication information also will be part of header. When it's authentication, it's usually like API token. What is API token?
It gives you like temporary access to the server.
Yeah. Yeah. So for example, you guys log in, right? So Facebook or any website, you guys log in the beginning. So when you log in, how does it work, guys? When you log in, right? So you provide your password and email, and you log in. It goes backend, and then it checks if that kind of user exists and if password and email match. If everything matches, then they say, okay, this person is valid. Then we can authenticate this person. Okay, now first time we authenticate, and then we are providing back to client, back to user information, let's say. But next time when you search again, like YouTube, let's say we were talking about YouTube, if you search music, now second time we are saying that, okay, now give me a list of musics, right? Give me a list of musics, and at that point the backend has to understand that you are the user that they authenticated a couple of minutes ago, right? Because every time when you ask something, every time if they ask your password and email, that is not a good idea because it was risky. If you provide your passport every time, then that's risky. Or if you store that passport in the client side, again, also that's risky. So what they do is they authenticate once and they will create some kind of code. Not the code, but token. We call it token. So API tokens could be just a random. It could be any kind of, okay. Any kind of, they create a token, which means like it's hash, some specific, and they'll create that token and they provide back to you. And then they say that, okay, now next time come back with this token. Okay.
What about the key?
API token, API key, they are kind of the same. There are small differences. But so backend sends that API token. They store in the backend also, and then they give it back to you also. So now you have API token. So every time when you hit again any API, then you have to provide that API token as part of your API call and inside header.
So if I lose the token, I have to authenticate again.
Yes, if you lose your,
Okay.
then you have to authenticate. Or if you delete your token, then you have to authenticate. Yeah. So right now, communication is usual through API tokens. But how about before? Before they were a little bit different, different technologies, but before you guys heard, but before the communication was a little bit different, just different ways. So have you guys heard the cookie?
Yes.
Yeah. So before they would create a cookie. Now they would their mostly their communication is through API tokens. So before you guys go to interview, they might ask, okay, what are the ways of communication and difference you should be able to explain. So this is general knowledge that you don't need to teach it's not a specific technology, but it's a general knowledge in front-end development. Okay.
But for how long the token exists and the cookie? I heard the cookies exist like for the shorter time than the token.
Yeah, so that is a good question. Who did ask? Sultan, was that you?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay. Yeah, so when you create the cookie, server side can define the server side can define that how long it takes. For example, you can say 7 days, or if you're a bank, right, then you can say 5 minutes. You can totally define it in a backend.
Okay, guys.
And
And the same thing with the cookies?
same thing with the cookies.
Okay.
So let's say you have a cookie or you have a token, but backend has expired, right? So let's say your cookie or your token was for 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, on your computer, that device that you logged in, you will still have that token or cookie. And after 5 minutes, you go back to server, and then the server will check, okay, this person is trying to this person is asking an information, providing this token. They check that token. Oh, we don't have the token anymore. So what they do is they say unauthorized. Email could be right, but unauthorized. And then at that point, then client, you have to re-log in again.
What about the sessions? Is it the same with
It's a
like
session.
the tokens?
Yeah.
Okay.
The session means when you log in, session gets created.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
It creates some space on the server with a token, right?
Yeah.
Associated.
Yeah. So when you get that, let's say, token to client side, where do you store that token? Let's say you're building React application. It doesn't matter, or JavaScript, anywhere. Where do you store that token?
No.
On browsers, like browsers
yeah.
in general.
Yeah,
Local.
it's in browser. Yeah. In browsers, what?
Local storage or
Yeah. So browser has storage, right? Browser has local storage. Browsers has like session storage, and so during interviews they might ask also like, okay, what is the difference between local storage and and give me guys a minute. Let me double check. So you store data in local storage, right? And for example, let me show any even this, for example. So if you go any website and click inspect, so under network tab, no, under application, so there is a local storage, session storage. So if you guys see, this is the key and then value. So this is also session storage. So you can store the session storage or local storage. There's index DB and some others, so this is also like cookie. So you could use one of them, but there are some differences. Okay. Oops. You see local storage, you have this. I can local storage clear, and let me see if it stores in no, doesn't. Let me see.
Marat, for our progress tracking, so on this platform, let's say we solve like 100 JavaScript easy questions, and so you store it in this database, third-party databases, or you store it in internal?
Sorry, what was it? What was the question?
So on this platform, we do have so these JavaScript questions, right? If we solve 100 of them, it kind of keeps, right, in the storage, all
Yeah.
our like
Yeah.
bullets.
Let me show this.
I think Firebase. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm using Firebase for that. Okay. And so here, for example, I have like submissions, users. So I have all users information. Of course, passports, they don't store. For example, yeah, so this person is probably like, let's make up. And for example, here, I want to know, I built this, for example, I want to know Janar's progress. So I click Janar and then I will get Janar's information and then it gives me Janar's data. So I could see Janar's progress here. And all this information, well, I am just getting from here, for example, like submission. Okay. So let me show my own user. So I use Firebase because they provide, I don't need to build like server API, because right now, if you guys have things, that means serverless. So I didn't need to maintain my own server, right? I could just use AWS or Firebase. So this is, I'm using this as a database. So I didn't need to, before like 10, 20 years ago, I had to come up with my own designs. But if this is like something like this kind of like project, and I can just create my own database here. And for example, I'm admin, I can change from here also. Right? And yeah, you see repo submissions. So I have, seems like I have 2 repo submissions. Yeah, code and then like when. So I'm just pasting code and then when. Yeah. So if I refresh, yeah, I have to. If I click get, if I add right now, so what is this? Get full name and then let's open. So I need to do what I should do. I just have to return. If I pass parameters and I have to return this, what should I do? What should I do, guys? It just has to, the output.
Return first name, last name.
Yeah. Return. I could do this, right? Or of course, we don't want to do that anymore. It's the old way, right? That's it. I told you guys, I haven't got it for a long time. So have you guys, do you guys know ES6?
Yes.
Yeah.
How can I make it dynamic this? Ready this?
So backticks.
$.
Yeah, like this, right?
Yeah. And the $sign in the beginning of each object.
So let me inspect and then console and then network clean, and then so I could show you guys what happens. If I click run, okay, pass test, and if I click submit, okay, submit, but this Firebase communication is not REST, it's a little bit different, so it doesn't show it here. If I come here, you guys see, right now, before I had 2, now I have 3. Yeah. And date, if you guys see in database, the date is saved usually as a number. So this is in second. Okay. So in database, in the database, I mean, all of dates always stored as, yeah, Friday. So this is based on UTS because this is just a number. But what is the starting date? So what is like?
Is it January 1st, like New Year 000, then it starts second counting, or?
So it's like first second starts from where? So they just decided that, okay, we'll start counting date from January 1, 1970 and 12 a.m. So first second in computer means this day. It starts from that day. So which that the second, this second means from this day, since in 1970, 12 a.m., this many milliseconds passed. So that's how I calculate. So usually for your own knowledge, If you guys see date as number, it means date always starts from 1970. So that's how we store dates. Okay, so just a generic knowledge. Okay. So what is a JSON then?
It's a format which
Yeah, it's a,
It's-
we can
yeah.
call it, it's like a language, because when you communicate with backend, when client-side, server-side communicates, there need to be some kind of language that both sides understand it. And regardless, let's say your front end is JavaScript. Right? Front end is usually JavaScript, but because browser supports JavaScript, browser doesn't support, let's say, C++, right? But backend could be any language. So to standardize when communication happens, yeah, it is through JSON. Okay, I mean at the end, JSON is just an object, but it's just an object with own differences. You need every string needs to be for like everything needs to be like key also needs to be like in a string. Okay, so this is JSON. This is how we communicate. So every time when you get data, your data will be JSON. Okay, any questions?
no.
Nope, okay. Yeah, REST means a representational state transfer. So if I see I already explained, then I'll be like, so as I said, it's HTTP protocol. And there are different kind of protocols. By the way, today, since I'm teaching it, guys, I'll try to give you guys overall like web development, like web knowledge, front-end related knowledge, right? Because HTTP protocol. So there's also another protocol.
HTTPS.
There's the HTTPS protocol, which means S is for secure, right? HTTPS means when we send data, that data
It's
has
encrypted. Right?
encrypted, yeah. And like last 10 years, any website, not required, I think in the US, most websites are required, right? So even, for example, here, this website is secured communications through HTTPS. And if you see any communication, even like, look, we are even to get this image, we need to use HTTPS because it's in the US, most websites are required to have it. And we use REST. So there's a so we need to create in the backend. They have to create a REST server. Okay. And right now there are different kind of servers. So rather than the communication, not only REST, but different kind of communication. So there is REST, there is what? WebSocket for chat applications. And there is one more thing, something, a new one. Well, it's a new one, not like new, but yeah, new comparing to others. It starts with G as George. G. Have you guys heard? Have you
No.
guys heard GraphQL?
Oh, okay, GraphQL.
I just heard the term, but never really go in deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that it's related to communication.
Yeah.
I thought it's related to database somehow. But
Yeah, it is for communication. By the way, guys, I use Clarity. It's a chat GPT style up Chrome extension. So when you go, if you guys want to watch YouTube, if you go any YouTube page, then it just shows like that page's detailed explanation. And it's based on OpenAI's public API. So if you guys want to use it. So GraphQL is a query language for your API. GraphQL is a little bit different. And later you guys can read that difference between GraphQL and then the REST. Okay, I'm not gonna go right now, but GraphQL is also one of the ways to communicate. as I said, the communication between client side and server side is stateless. Stateless means it doesn't store anything during communication. You ask, they give you, and then that's it. Next time you come, you will say, hey, I'm asking this. And they're like, okay, who are you? Then you will say, okay, this is the code. And every time you have to get like authenticated using token if there's authentication. Okay. So we set post to insert, put, update, get select, delete, and delete. And you say there's a patch, which is similar to post, a little bit different. So again, client side, when we say client side, it could be just a web-based app, which frontends work, or desktop app. Again, frontends could build, or Android, iPhone, or even like Windows. So to build Android applications, you need to be Android developer, right? For iPhone, you need to be what?
iOS,
iOS developer. For web-based application, you need to be frontend,
web.
right?
Oh.
And that's all frontend. And for desktop, it's a little bit different because before desktop, they used to do only like actual hardcore, like C++ language.
Qt developer, right? You use Qt, something.
But right now, front-end people could also build desktop applications.
Like Flutter, I heard about it.
In fact, front-end people could build Android and iPhone applications, right? Using what?
React Native.
We're using React Native. And for desktop applications, there might be different. There's also Electron. Electron, you can build like desktop applications using, when it's a desktop applications, for example, VS Code is a desktop application that we use. Right? So React Native we could use here, we could use like this for desktop application Electron, which means last 10 years, last 20 years, what is changing? What is improving?
Cloud.
But like related to this.
Internet more faster.
JavaScript is becoming more powerful because at the end, everything is all like under React Native, right? React, and for desktop applications like Electron, all others. At the
But
end,
some people say that the more native language is like it gives you like more faster for the
yes.
e-commerce. No, not e-commerce.
I'm not
Like a
comparing
big for the big ones, for the big apps.
I'm not comparing that they're better or worse, but it's based on the situation. What I'm saying is overall, it's last 20 years, that's how front end is getting developed. When I started learning front end, JavaScript was like really small. You could do only like a couple basic things. But now you can, using JavaScript, you can build mobile applications, you can build desktop applications. Because even like web-based applications, JavaScript is like new 10 years. But there's also different question if you need to use React Native or native language. Right?
Yes.
They're both sides. But for example, Facebook uses React Native, right? Your Instagram, your Facebook application, mobile application, they are React Native. So all of these client-based applications, they're using JSON, they use HTTP request, and there will be a REST API in the server. The REST API in the server, and inside that server, you ask server what to do. They authenticate you, and then they will server communicate to database, get information, and then back to you. So how does the server communicate with database? What language they use here?
SQL.
They use SQL, right? They use SQL, and database could be like MySQL, database could be like different kind of database, but there's a SQL database, but there's also no SQL database. So this is pure like actual like get doc this is how get works, but like host and an accepting type and a language accept encoding is all part of header, but you don't need to provide. If you see URL, request header, and other there's message body if there is post. But we don't need to type everything like this, right? We just show it. Again, same thing. Yeah, for example, here you hit the URL. So this is host, this is the URL, and then you're providing URL parameters. Okay, URL parameters. And when you hit, the first one will be HTTP code. For example, 200, you don't need to know everything, but I'm just explaining high level. So you hit server, and then server says that's a good one. It sends a code and starts, I mean, a response. So if you guys see, this is a JSON. So when you get JSON, you have to convert that JSON to object and then use it. So that's because you don't need to remember everything, guys. But overall, if you go to some website, if you get any API, if you get errors, it's good, because at the end, as a front-end developer, you'll be working like this. So let's say you're working at in a company, you're hitting API, your backend developer gave you API, you hit API, and then it's an error. You didn't say, hey, it's not working, right? Because it's not working is like broad term. You have to be more specific. You're an engineer. You should be more clear. You should say, hey, it's giving 403 error code, for example. And sometimes interviews, they could ask, you guys have to know this code. For example, 200, there's 200, I mean, 200, 201, you don't need to know everything, but overall, 100 is for informational, right? 200 for successful, 300 redirection, 400 client error codes, and then 500 server error codes. So 200 successful, 300 redirection, not that much use it. Mostly use it 200 successful, 400 client-side error, 500 server-side error. Give me guys client-side errors. Any ideas we are brainstorming? What kind of client-side errors could happen when you try to get? So 400 something server is saying that server is working fine. Something is wrong with your request. What kind of request could be wrong?
400, 403.
What was it, Rustam?
404. When,
Yeah. What is that for?
Page not found.
Page not found.
Okay.
And I think 403 for when page is forbidden, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
So 400 all like client side. I'm not gonna go like every like code, but client side error could be what? Your password could be wrong, right? Your email could be wrong. So if your email or you everything is right, but you are not required to see that specific page. So it's saying that, I mean, you authenticate your passport, everything much, but you shouldn't be seeing this. You're not required to see this. So anything related to client side. Server side, while they are trying to get something, let's say SQL was the server, something happened there, and then they're like, oh, server is down. So something is, so based on this, engineers, they know where to focus. Okay. Okay, continue.
Excuse me, Marat, for example, which kind of so status code returned, it depends on the backend developers, right? When they develop, they can put it, or they just put it to so one only code for 100, and you have to deal with that.
Yes, that's a good question. So, okay, you worked as QA, right?
I'm sorry?
You worked as a QA engineer, right?
Yeah. I tested API, and then I remember once a developer developed, and it was just returning 400.
Yeah.
And that's it. And but it was not good experience for front-end developers to know which kind of errors are happening there.
Yeah. So like backend developers usually they have to like proper when you write a proper code, they have to if there's any error, they have to return the error code also. Right? It's just a best practice, right? Because like client side, otherwise we don't know what is going on. Well, in fact, even they didn't know what is the error. So they have to return a proper error code, ideal situation. So yep, URL get. So here we are getting here right now we're just showing how we have to design API. Okay, so we don't use camel case, we use just lowercase when you create APIs. So usually backend and then frontend they sit together and then they could build these APIs together. Or senior software engineer, they could just tackle it, they could just build this. So in high level things, if you guys apply like higher level companies as senior, then during interviews, they will be asking, okay, this is problem, build me API. How would you build me API? So you have to say, okay, I need to add pagination. I need to add this for pagination. I have to build this kind of API. So this is higher. Okay. For example, here means get cars API or sorry slash 711 means return a list and then driver. So it means get all cars and then next one will be car ID. Get first we're saying get all cars and then more specific 7111 and then drivers. So it returns a list of drivers for car 711. So if you want more, then returns driver number 4 for car 711. So this is just that we are asking more specific. Okay. So sometimes we use versioning. Versioning usually it's related to like backend, tech leads or like senior software engineers. We put versioning because later if you change some data, right, then we would like to same URL, then just a different version. So we could use, but usually versions don't come here. Versions comes like before, but of course it all depends on how we design. Okay. Yep, this is the code. Yeah. And there you will guys see there was a question mark. So this means we are get cars. Question mark means when starting from question mark, we are adding parameters like search criterias. So cars color red. So return a list of red cars or return user which have name at all. So these are the URL parameters. Okay. So you'll be using a lot of this kind of, for example, last 2 years I was working on Shopify. So I was building a Shopify application for our clients and I had to understand all Shopify. So I had to come to here, Shopify API, and I want to get, let's say, list of product based on list. So I will come here and I will see, okay, in order to post, I have to use this API, right? And I have to how they're providing a API. So I'll be reading this and understanding, and then I'm testing it how to use. For example, here it shows, okay, let's put Node.js. It's using, okay. It's saying that hit this. Okay, this is not just a little bit different. Yeah. Hit this URL, header again, and then you should provide your access token. And then you should provide your body. So you read this and then you implement it. For example, here you create new product. If you want to retrieve a list of product, well, let's say retrieve single product. So I want to get single product based on ID. So I need to have product ID, this, and header. Okay. And on client side, when you work this kind of APIs, on client side, you'll be using, you wouldn't be hitting API. You'll be using some kind of tools, which is what? Kai, which tool have you used it to hit APIs and then see the result
Under client.
at work?
Excuse me, what was the question?
Which tool did you use at work to hit APIs and then test?
Oh, yeah, so yeah, Postman.
Okay, so this is the Postman, guys. So Postman is a tool just to hit APIs and then see the data before actually you start it. This is just for front ends. Everybody has to know. I mean, not everybody uses, but it's good to know. For example, I was, for example, yeah, here. Get order by name. I'm hitting the API. If you guys see, I can show the real. So this is our one of our customer. So I'm searching order and name is this. And if I see auto header, I'm providing authentication. How do I know this? Because if I show you guys, it's saying that you have to provide X Shopify access token and then your token. You'll get that token from Shopify when you create an API token in Shopify and you use it here. Click. Yep. Now I have list of order. And then from there, you could use it. Any questions? So now you know what data is this, and then you could create your API. Okay. Cool. So, good. And of course, like you could put pagination, you could add limit and offset. If you have more data, then you need to add pagination. Okay. Now let's build our first API. So we talk about client server communication, REST API, error codes. We did I showed Postman, and then let's do practice. So our first practice would be
Marat.
yeah.
Yeah, before starting, can we get a break?
Yes, actually, yeah. So what time you guys take break usually? We
10.
start. How many times you take break in the class? Twice
10.
or one?
So yeah, a couple times every hour.
And just two at most.
Let's take 5 minutes break, 5 to 10 minutes break, okay?
Yes.
So here today, we'll be using this, we'll be building this project. And let me go random user.me. You guys also could go, guys. Random user.me. Okay. So what we built right now, every time when you refresh, we will have different user and different name. So technically, every time when you refresh page, you will have a different, and it'll say they added small information, but I mean, that's just an extra. But every time when you refresh, we have a new user. So how do we get this image, name, all everything? So there's an API, free API, this, but there's a free API. Yeah. So if you hit this API, it gives you this JSON. So again, if I refresh, right now it's Miss Sofia Perez. If I refresh, now it's different. Okay. The backend is providing every time new user. This is just a mock data to test. I could also use Postman. I can come. I can create a new request and I can name it user and URL is this. Since there is no any API token, I can just send, and now I have data. If you use, I'm using here JSON. And I'm providing type JSON, okay? And you see, this is the status code. If I put, for example, API, but different, click, it's 404. It's saying that, I mean, we don't have that kind of data for this URL. And usually when you test APIs, you will test this kind of API. So my suggestion would be, you should be knowing this kind of like small technologies or tools that people use, software engineers use at work. You don't need to know every details, but at least like high level things. Okay. So now we will hit this API and you guys need to follow. API, just put test. Okay, so right now there is nothing, right? There is nothing, and if you guys see, just the code, nothing else. So now we have to write a JavaScript code here, right? How do you write JavaScript code in HTML?
Using script tags.
Oh, yeah, using script tags. Tags, if I do console log 5 plus 3, and then I will get what? I'll get 8, but where? Where do I get 8? Console. Yeah, this is the console, right? Console is just for like testing for ourselves, right? It doesn't show on the here. Okay, so console log, right now we have 8. And now we have to hit this URL. How do we hit this URL?
We need to fetch it.
Yeah, so there is a fetch. Okay, so let me. I can use that console log also here, guys. Right here, for example. Console log. Yeah, now put it here. So I use this console a lot. For example, for what? Let's say I'm creating a function, get name, then like that. So if I have nothing, I can also find out if that function is there. And call it, yep, I can call the function. So whatever I create here, I can also call it and then see. So fetch. So what does that mean? It means a JavaScript has a native function. Native function means, for example, this function I created, right? But fetch is just a function that JavaScript has by default. You can use it. So fetch, we have to provide URL, right? Fetch URL and see what happens. You guys see, I hit that API. So when I did fetch URL, it's fetching. Fetching means like it's hitting that API. This request method get, and then status code here. Okay. And preview, now we have this result. And how do we get that result? So for that, we just need to know how to use fetch. Do you guys learn promise?
Yesterday we learned it with Zamat.
Okay. So promise is Because when you use fetch or when you hit the API, right, you don't know when it responds. You cannot put some kind of time. So for this kind of things, we use promise. So fetch is by default a promise function. So it is returning a promise. So we have to act like it is a promise function. So if something is a promise function, then we use what? We could use then. Okay, so fetch dot then, or I mean it doesn't matter, you could hear dot then. So fetch returns a promise function, and we have to use as dot then. To make it easy to read, here we use then. So then technically I need to provide some kind of function. How do we call that function?
Response.
Have you guys like for example, you guys know this, right? So there's like filter for each, right?
I mean, higher the
Higher
function.
Higher order function, right? For example, how would, if this is an array, array dot filter, and then you have to provide function here, right? So function like this. So just like that, here also you have to pass that callback function. So filter is a higher order function, but here we call it callback function. Callback function is a function without a name. So here we pass a callback function. If you guys see, so function, okay, so function, and then it would be data, and then let's see what is that data. So the data is a response, like some kind of like response. So in promise, what do we need to do, guys? Promise has like reject and what?
Yield. Success.
Promise has a reject and resolve, right? So here, if I do again, for example, okay, let me do JSON. So now it is returning a promise which says fulfill. In the beginning, like promise could be like a little bit confusing. Okay, a little bit confusing. So I could do this. Return data.json, then another function. And this response here, console log response. Now, if I click, you guys see now I have data. I have info and I have a result. Oh, so here, the fetch, you hit URL, and then first one will be like streaming like data, and then you have to convert that data to JSON. Okay, and then when you convert that data to JSON, it's another promise. And now you have this data. So based on this data, I need only results. You have also, it seems like info, it seems like I can just do response that results. Okay, now I have just an array. So again, let's do it. fetch URL. So technically, when you use fetch in JavaScript, you have to use twice, then, to make it easy things. So let's convert this thing to array function, arrow function. How do we convert this to arrow function? You guys know ES6?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, we did.
So this would be just this, right? Right? Because you will remove function. Sorry, this data. To make it simple. So here we will remove this, and after here we will add arrow. And in fact, since it's just one line, I didn't even need this, and I can just put like this.
Marat, may I ask you,
Yes, please.
in first then you use JSON for data to convert it. In the second then we have a response. Is the response that data which was changed?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
So if you guys see, I'm hitting it, and because we fetch data counts, but I have to convert that into JSON. And if I use convert to JSON, then I have to use another promise. So when you use fetch, then we use then. Okay, now I have a response dot results. So fetch is a default API call, and there is also Axios, the Axios fetch. So fetch returns the response object itself, because that you got the response and you have to convert to JSON. Axios returns the data right away. So at work, so Karina, what were you guys using at work? Are you here, Karina? Okay, she's not here. So Axios is a library, again, JavaScript library. If you install specific library, you have to install to your project, and you'll be using, instead of fetch, you'll be using Axios. So if you were using Axios, it will be like this. Axios. And you wouldn't need this. You would just need this. I mean, the same thing, the only difference would be like fetch. You have to convert that into JSON one more time. At work, you'll be using Axios, or some companies, they just use like plain fetch, because Axios, you don't need to do every time this. Okay. But the goal would be, this is just a function to hit an API to get data. And here, if you guys see again, you can use
So it does the same thing, right?
Yeah, it does the same thing. Yeah.
But why we need a library then?
There are differences. Again, first, you don't need to convert this, and some other differences. And so if you guys see, fetch is a function. Okay? Fetch is a function with parameters. The first parameter is what? First parameter is, what is this?
URL.
URL. Okay. And the second parameter is?
Methods.
Like options, which is, so you could put an object, and inside that object, then you could, for example, here, you could put this. For example, method get. But you don't need to put get, because by default it is get, right? And headers. So headers, now you have to provide headers. since, I mean, by default, headers, for example, if you need to provide like token, you will provide in here, okay? You guys remember like last time I showed token? You guys need to
Yes.
provide, you guys need to provide here. So, but by default, you don't need this. But if you need to use post, then you'll be using post and body, and then you'll provide like body here. Okay. So you keep practicing it. And again, I mean, at the end, this is just a function.
But how we get the token? It's we simply just fetch?
How do
Or
we get the token, or what is it?
yeah.
Token will be provided. You'll ask me the token. For example,
For example, we like fill the form and then click submit. It just responds us with the token.
No, so look, so I was this is random user random jokes API. I was looking for different kind of APIs. It seems like, look, this is if I so I was looking for jokes. So if I this jokes, then it provides me joke. But you see, it's asking me missing an API key. It's giving an error. So it's asking me, you have to provide API key, but I don't have API key. How I get it? They're saying, well, you have to log in and you have to pay and you have to create a token, and that token will be created for you specifically, and then you will be using that token as part of your header, which means here you will be using like this.
Oh, I got.
Yeah, like this. You'll put it, and then you'll provide that specific token which was provided to you. Okay. So,
excuse Marat, so I have one more question here. We are having an issue with the course related issue. We are not getting the same origin, something like kind of error.
so yeah, that is like part of like errors, and I would say maybe that's a little bit early to get into. So when you create, guys, this kind of APIs, like for example, they're later like you have to make your API more secured, which means even though somebody stole your API token, then you can say, I mean, I will allow you, even you have a token, I will allow you, I will give you information only if you're coming from this website. And you can provide that kind of security. So Kai, whatever you were talking is related to the API security. We can go more in detail. So that's why I didn't want to use this. Ideally, I wanted to show guys this, but it seems like I have to pay right now. So I have to create API tokens, blah, blah, blah. But I said, since I already have it.
No, I mean, we are using just public API. Not
yes, right now we're just
specific,
using public API. That's why we have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But if you guys see, when you guys use Postman, you get the result right away. Okay, you get the result, you have the info. Okay, result, info. I know that when I convert to JSON, I will get results and then info. And that's why I'm putting response dot results. Okay, so now we have this data. Okay, now do it, guys, with me. You should able to get all of you guys. All of you guys get this kind of data. Let me know if you guys didn't have it.
What was the question?
So you guys, okay, so since I have this data, now I want to show that data into on DOM, right? So let's build this UI. right? But let's put this away. So first, let's build picture. Let's just picture in my name. Okay. So name. And let's do picture. So how can I put here and then here? I need to get this data, which we got it here, right? So what is name? How do I get name?
Name.
It seems like name is, so you get data from here, right? So name is, that's why I use console, guys. Okay, you need to get that data, or Postman. You come here, result like name. Okay, we are looking for that specific first name, first name and last name, which means it's under results name dot first dot, name dot first, name dot last. Okay. So here I have to put, if I could get this response results, how can I put it here?
We
have to use some image tag. Oh, no, span maybe.
Yeah, some kind of element, right? Either like span or diff, it doesn't matter, right? Let's have like span, and I have to provide some kind of ID, right? Name and picture, so image. Source will be something, right? And then we could provide like width 100. If I refresh, I see nothing. If I see underbody, I see, yeah, I see this too. But since I have nothing, I don't see it. So now here, I need to get this data and then update it. Okay, how do I get this?
You can use query selector.
Okay. Document query selector. Which query selector I have to use?
Name.
Yeah,
ID.
ID name dot what?
Inner text.
Inner
Text content text. I forgot.
So there are like different ways, like inner HTML, inner text is equal to, what is it?
Results
So
of name.
Data, I know, response.
Once that
results
results.
is array, so we should get the first one, right?
Okay, well, let's do that. So let's say I want to make mistake, and what was it?
Name, I guess.
Right, and we should see. Okay,
Person.
name that first. Okay, so if you refresh, nothing is happening. If I console, it's saying something like, okay, I have an error, but somewhere I have error. How do I find out? So the best thing to do is, guys, I'm showing you guys how to debug also. So here, the best thing to debug is you put debugger here, okay? You put debugger is like, you put debugger, which means it comes here and then it stops. You guys see, code came here and then it just stopped. So I can click console, I can just press escape. Escape means I can open this console again, okay? And right now what I do is I just write my code data. So what is the response? Response, okay, response right, response dot results. Okay, I'm good. Response dot results dot name. Oh, okay. Here I'm making mistake. What was it again previously? Result. Okay, result is an array. And I need to get the first data. Okay, it seems like I have to get first data. I open it, check name. Name. Okay, let's do that. So here I'm pressing the up arrow. I'm just bringing the previous code. So that name. Now name has what? Name has first. Okay, name has that first. Okay, cool. Now I have the right code. And I just come here and then I put it here. Okay. Good, guys.
Yeah, okay.
I can debug, remove my debug, and then, but still something is happening. So every time this kind of problems, come here again, put debugger, whatever you want to. So my right side of code was correct. What is this?
I think it's a typo in inner text.
Yeah,
You need to delete that
I
one.
specifically put that one, but sometimes you don't know what is the error, right? You don't know what is the error. So then you will try to find from here. Again, what do? Document, okay, document is correct. Document that core is selected. Document that core selected, okay, it's function, which is supposed to be function. And document that core selected name. Right? Okay, now you're reaching that span. So step by step, I'm showing you guys how to debug your code and then fix it. Span ID, okay, dot, and inner text, or inner HTML, some differences, but okay. And let me just test it. Test. You guys see? Test came here.
May I just tell you what was the problem? It
No,
just
I mean,
okay.
the goal is to debug. I'm showing you guys how to debug, how to find the problem, like step by step. Because sometimes you have error, and then you just don't know where it happened. You just stuck. I'm showing you guys how to debug. The difference between, even though like after 5 years, 10 years, when you become like a senior engineer or pretty expert, you guys don't need to remember everything. But the main difference between senior level and then junior, when there's a problem, you should guys able to debug quickly. So you guys need to use debugger. This is literally life saving. And now you guys know that, oh, I put in the text. Because sometimes you make huge mistake, I mean small mistake, but you are sure like this. Let's say in your head, in your text is the right one, and you convinced that it's the right one, and you just don't think that error is here, right? Or sometimes you do this, and then you forget that it was not ID. I mean, it's not a class, it's ID. And then you just like, wait, why is not working? Why is not working? What is the problem? It's short here right now, but I just showed how to. Okay, so debuggers. So you guys see it's Alan. And then again, picture. So that will be, again, let's put it. Let's put without use. How can I get without ID, without name?
Just
I can just image, right? It's not a good idea, but I can use image. And then what would be here? Image that what?
HTML or content.
What are we changing?
source.
SRC.
Source, right? And again, what is the image? Image is picture that, let's use medium. Picture that medium. Okay. Picture that. Okay. Every time I refresh, I'm getting a new one. Good. So when you guys work with dynamic data, you provide these placeholders, you prepare everything. So technically what you do, you just build an HTML, and whatever you want make it dynamic, you just prepare it. You hit an API and you just update this data in React, in Angular, in Vue, in jQuery, it doesn't matter. In any front-end language, you'll follow the same logic. Okay. Any questions, guys?
No, everything is clear.
Were you guys able to follow me? Follow me and do yourself.
Yep.
Okay, good. So now let's improve our code a little bit. Okay, so this is not a good idea. So let's do this. Now I want to add here one button. Rather than refreshing this, I just want to add one button. And if I click that button, then it has to refresh automatically. How can I do it?
We can put the fetch in a function and then get the data
Okay.
every time.
So technically we need to do, I just want a button here, right? And refresh. So if I click refresh button, it just has to update this information again. So technically, if I click refresh, I just need to execute the whole this code again, right? So the best way would be, if I need to reuse some kind of code, then what should I do? Then I just need to create function. So function, random user, and then put it here. Okay. Function, random user here, and on click, I can just provide here like this. Refresh, and bam. Refresh, 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 refresh. But first, in the first time it's not happening. What should I do then? I want this function to be called in the first time also, without clicking refresh button. What should I do?
You need to call it.
Yeah, I can just call this, right? Then it's happening. If I can refresh, refresh. Okay. Any questions, guys?
No.
Okay. And let's improve our code a little bit. So when you hit an API, like writing your code here is not a good idea. Okay. It's not a good idea. So to separate, to write reusable code, you have to create like, let's say, render data. Okay. So we have another function, render data. And inside that render data, we have to do this. Okay. And then here we have to call render data passing response dot. If it is one data always, you can even pass like this. And here you could just use data. If I am passing everything like this, then here instead of everything, you could just use data. Right? So now you know that everything is inside data. So right now we separated API call and then the rendering function, which logically makes sense. So tomorrow, if you have problem with API, then you come to this function, and the name of function should not be random user. Render function should be a get user, for example. Okay. Now I have two functions. One is getting any data from API using API. The second one is rendering data. And I'm just calling get user. So now I learned how to separate my function. Okay, good.
Yes.
So, and here, instead of using then, there is also another in ES6. In ES6, there is a better way of using then. You could use like this, async await. Okay, it's just a new thing. So software engineer is always learning. It's like learning new things. You have to open to learn new things, right? Because things are improving. Like things are improving really fast, and you should be okay. Like try new things because then they try to solve things better. Rather than doing like then, what they do is they create. But you can use when you guys join company, and then you will just see how they use it and just follow how they do it. But I'm just showing you guys that you could also use async await. So you need to add async here, and you'll be using instead of like fetch, let's use const result await, okay, and const data await. And then
Is it const data await result.json? Oh.
yes. And const response. Well, we don't need to response here because all this other data coming, right? So data will be here, and then now I can just use this. Okay. And which one is easier to understand?
They're pretty
First one.
First one.
Yeah.
So they come up with this async await to make it, because if you guys see the first one, you are using like dot then and then creating like function, right? And if you need to create another API call after the first API call, then you will be doing like again inside fetch inside this. So this is keep going like inside then. To solve that problem, they just use like async await, right? Which means in the one line, the second line, you can reach the result of this data right away because it waits this API till it's finished and then you use it. It doesn't matter which one to use it, but you just have to know. Right now, you just have, I mean, ideally try to use, you could also use the first one, but at work, if you guys see if you guys see async await, you just have to understand that, oh, okay, I mean, I've seen it, I can just use it. I just have to check the syntax. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, that's total new thing. I have no idea what is it. You shouldn't be afraid of it. You could just say, okay, Marat show me like in a minute, in 2 minutes. I know that if I want to, I can use it. I may forget this, for example, but I know that I can do it. Okay. But it doesn't matter which one it is, guys. Cool. Any questions?
No.
No, very good. Yeah, before like in what is this? What is dollar dot what? In jQuery, that's how you would use it. In jQuery, you would use this.
But
the
for what? Dollar sign.
dollar sign means jQuery. jQuery.
Oh. What does mean Ajax?
Ajax is a kind of fetch.
Okay. That's
XHR request. So when JavaScript came up, the first API call was XHR HTTP request, which like just to make an API call, it's like huge code. You should have write this kind of code. Yeah, this. You have to create HTTP request on read state change, like do this, and then result this, and then like so it was complex. So to make it easier, jQuery came up with this, and then by time the JavaScript new version, they just added fetch because there was no fetch before.
okay, got it.
And not this
Is
one.
this jQuery so Ajax still used?
I am pretty
Or
sure
is it old kind of?
jQuery is old. jQuery was before Angular, and Angular was before React. So 2010, I was using jQuery when I came to US, because at that point there was no React. There was no Angular, because first Angular came up 2001, 12, no, 14, 14 and 13. Then now in 2 years, React came up, and then React was like total new thing, way better. Now there's the React, right? And there's Angular 2, and then what else?
View.
Vue, right? But you right now we teach, mostly use it once React right now in market. Like a lot of companies, they use React. But some specific companies, they might use Vue, some startups. And your goal should be like, when you go to interview, you'll be saying this: I'm strong fundamental JavaScript. But I know React. I haven't done Angular, but if you guys use Angular, I can use Angular. If you guys use Vue, I can learn and then do Vue. And if you apply big companies later, for example, let's say you apply Amazon, they don't care what to use, because big companies, they think long term. They're like, I don't care. Today React, tomorrow Angular, after some time it could be different. They don't care what framework do you use. They care how fundamentally you are strong. So they focus pure on like JavaScript DOM. Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. So in React, you guys will understand. So here, if you guys see, I'm separating this function like render data after making API, separating this and then creating render data. So it will be easier for you guys to understand in React. So React, that's how it works. Right? First you make an API, and then in different function, you render it. But it's in React, it's way better. Okay, so build this API, guys, right now. I mean, use this API and do it. And I wanted to show you another API similar to this. What cohort is this? 24.2, right?
Yes.
So I want to show you guys this when you guys back. Okay. I will show this guys more like comments, more in details. You guys, if somebody finishes, you guys can start checking it. So what, 5 minutes break?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. 5 minutes break. If we want to add like loading, how would you do it?
We need some third part library, maybe.
No, you don't need to library. Let's build quickly loading. And then the logic of loading is you just put something here while you are hitting an API. Okay. So first thing is first. So what you do is this. By default, you just hear like loading and like that. Okay. And every time refresh. Yeah, you guys see when I refresh, you see the loading text. The internet is pretty fast, and then this data is also providing pretty fast. That's why you guys don't. We're not seeing that loading that long. Yeah, but we are seeing this loading, right? You guys seeing that loading?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And
But
that is
how do you do the percent in a loading
yeah,
animation?
that is different, a little bit different. Yeah, because I can tell you something. Most percentage is wrong because percentages you didn't really know, right? So they just put percentage. And but how can I put that loading when I click refresh? Because right now when you have refresh, there is no loading. Because ideally we want to put also loading when we should click refresh. How what kind of logic I have to follow?
Can you please show the code? Maybe some inner text or text content. ID name.
So Victor, that's good. But try to tell just from here. Just so try to come up with the logic without seeing the code. Because right now you are trying to put that code somewhere, right?
Yes.
And then just try to explain the logic from here.
I need to show the pen content when I click the button.
Yeah,
This is logic, but
sure. Yeah, then that's logic. So what we do is we just put that loading animation. When we click refresh, ideally where? Just before we start loading. So just before we start hitting API, right? So, which means that place will be where? Here, right? Just before we start hitting API, what we do is right? I just put this here. I click refresh. Yeah. For a short amount of time, you see that loading, right? If my internet is slow, then you will see more. Any questions?
no.
This is the idea of loading, guys. Okay. So you guys could like right now loaders are this kind of CSS, right? So which one we want? We don't want. Let's do this. So they're asking us use this code. They're asking us use this code. this. Avoid use this code. And then this is the style.
Nothing.
Because it's white on white.
We still loading.
We still see loading, yes. Why is that? It's under name. It's still loading. Okay. Oh, because we are changing this, right? Just remove this. Yep, you guys see?
Oh, looks good.
Yeah. This is exactly loading. This is how loading works, guys. The concept, whatever language, whatever framework used, then this would be the loading. You put loading animation before data comes. When data comes, then you just update it. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Now, let's do this. So I'll change this URL, guys. Now we are hitting comments again. Same thing. And since we wouldn't be knowing what kind of data, okay, so we'll be knowing what kind of data. So this is not data that results, right? So let me just console log data and see what is data. Data has comments. Okay. Data and the comments. So now I will be passing to render data that comments, and comment has body ID post, and then user. Let me see what do we want to show. Okay, now we need to create dynamic. Let me just remove this. Okay, guys, we're done with this. So after hitting API call, we have data that comments, and then inside comments we have body. Yeah, we have body. So let's just put body. So let me put here ID result. So we'll be putting everything into this result. Okay. So what exactly we'll put result, we will see. So right now we have nothing. So instead of data, let me just use comments this time because you have to follow naming. So how can I render dynamically here? Go to selected, or sorry, document, go to selected all. Sorry, get confused. Result, right? Inner. Now I could use inner HTML. So I'll be using this thing. I can write this kind of HTML, guys. Right? If I need to put HTML, then I can use inner HTML. If not, if regular text, then I could just use regular text. So div, and here I will be writing what? Comments dot what?
Comments.
Body, right? Because it was a body. Yeah. but I made a mistake.
So
Because
Is it-
they did not,
array. Yeah.
it's an array, right? So what we need to do right now is the comment is an array. So I have to put everything into there. Okay. So what we do is comments. How can I loop array?
Map.
For each. Oh, my.
For each. This is comment. And now put this there. Now error happened. For exactly for this kind of situation, then we'll be using
Debug.
debug. Right. So comments for each. So let me console log this time. So am I seeing comment? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm seeing comment. Comment body. Oh, okay. I put comments, right? But this is comment. We found our problem. Well, can delete. What an accomplishment. But I have just one. I want to put all of them. What is going on here? What is happening, guys?
I think we are just replacing every time.
Just replacing our time.
Comment.
Oh, plus equals. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do like plus, so technically the previous one and add everything. Okay. Now we have all everything. And if you see elements, yeah. Now we guys need we are dynamically rendering data. So now, if I click comment, I want to know the which user, because if you guys see, we have user ID here. How can I do that? Well, before doing that, so first we need to click. So in order to click, we need to do what?
Add event listener.
We need to add event listener, right? We need to add event listener. So to do that, so let me add here at least like class comment. So at least we have a class right. Okay, yeah. We have a class right now. So I need to add event listener, right? I need to add event listener to this comment. When I can do that? I need to do after this because I'm creating a comment here, right? So what I need to do? Document for a selector. I need to add event listener for every one of them, right? So it means again, I will show it for a sector all that comment. I'm thinking, am I going a little bit deeper? Well, we finish it there. So far, do you guys have any question here?
No.
No, we're good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ladies. Okay.
Very good.
Okay, thank you, Aisha. So now we want to add event listener. If I add event listener just like that, event listener, right? You guys know add event listener, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So add event listener has how many? What is the first parameter?
Type of the event.
Right. So click, right? And then what is the second parameter?
Function.
Callback.
Yeah, callback function. Okay, so I can create right away. I can create new function. Let me just create right over here. Event. Oops. I always put like this. So I added event listener. This. Okay, this is an event. But if you guys see, that event is added only to the first one, right? Why?
You removed all.
No, I didn't remove all.
Really?
Because document core selector, it just gets the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just gets the first one, and then so to solve this question, to solve this problem, what should we do? How can we solve our problem right now?
Select all.
Yeah, then we have to add even listener to all of them, right? So rather than that, we have to do select all. So let me do one thing, guys. So this is not list. Can I use for each? Yes, I can use for each. Okay, so select all.
But you said no when I said that you removed all. I thought it's something different. Okay.
Who asked the question that you removed all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw how you deleted all
Yeah.
after that.
Yes, you are right, but I wanted to show not because of that one. I wanted to show because because of this. Okay, but you're right. Yeah. Document core selector all. So now, right here we have to add what for each element that, what is it? Element that what?
Target. No. What do you wanna get?
I
When
want to add even listener to each element.
and
What is this right now? Console, if I the console element, what do I get?
All documents, no, all the text, all the divs, yeah.
Yeah, all the divs. Yeah, all the divs. Which means if I want to add even listener, what I need to do?
Just add event listener to the element.
Yeah, add even listener element. Click, and then function, event, and console log. Yeah. Okay, so now what do I click? I have it, right? Okay, at least now I have an element every time. All of this I have an element. Okay. So now I add it. So when I click, I need to get that data.
what data? Like sum of key value.
I need to get user ID.
User
Yes.
ID. Mhm. Can you check this target? What?
Sorry. Click. I have
Oh, it's different thing. Yes. It is different.
But element doesn't contain the user ID.
element doesn't contain any element. What should
Yeah.
we do?
I think what we had data or comments before using for each element is each.
No, this is the element.
Yeah, we have only element is parent.
Yeah. So you guys see, so if you guys do actual these projects at work, you guys should having this kind of problems right now. Okay, now you want to get every time when you click, you want to get that data, but that data is not here. The data is where?
In
in a data.
The data is in this, right? That data is in a different place. So how can I get that data? What should I do?
think we can
all the
do some array, make some array,
Where?
or at the beginning of the script. Or it's gonna be not a practical method, I think.
Yeah, can we add that ID to that inside the first div? There is a comment body.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we can add the ID in a div class comment, and then access it through the element.
so you guys going to the right direction. So if it was inside that element, right? I could get that element, but it is not there. So right now on click, when you click on click, I cannot reach previous data then, right? On click, then I can only do what? I need to have some kind of specific unique thing. So ID. So I could provide it as an ID and then I could get information later like that. So I could do ID and it would be what is it? Comment that body, comment that. I mean, I could do this, right?
Yes.
Now at this I have ID. Okay. So I could get that ID. I could get that ID and then, well, I mean, so I'm just showing guys in JavaScript, in pure JavaScript, if you want to somehow like use this data, then you have to put it onto DOM and then get back from the DOM. On React, you guys will be doing differently. Okay, on React, you guys will be doing differently, way easy. I'm just showing right now how to do it, how to store data and this kind of data in DOM and then get back. So how do we get this again? Here, with just do ID, right? Right click, now I have ID. Okay, what I'm gonna do with this ID then?
We had a result. Oh no. Yeah.
We have ID here, but data isn't here, right? Data is, oh, you know, data is here actually, right?
Yeah, we can just
We can use
comments here with ID.
that. We can now search, filter, get that data. I will not go there, but or even here, if you want to just store, right? If you want to just store user ID, then I can specifically do, okay, ID could be here, but user, what was it? We're trying to find user ID. User ID also could be like this. So comment dot user dot ID, right? Comment dot user dot ID. Okay. So if I click, now I have user ID. I made a mistake. Click. Now I have user ID. I have ID. So how do I get this user ID? How do you get the HTML?
Comments dot user dot ID. Yeah.
Nope.
No, I think comments and then in a square brackets ID.
No, here I'm talking about here.
Yeah. We
I
can't.
think get attributes.
If you want to get attribute, you have to use
Get
this
attribute and
element dot get attribute, and you will pass which attribute you want to get it. I want to get the user
user ID.
I get this. Right? Because E is an event. Target is an event. Okay. I just wanted to show you guys this. If ID, I can just use just ID, but ID also ideally, I mean, this is the you should use ID for ID. Yeah.
So they're a little bit different things, right? ID, it's something like already inside. I mean, we created user ID and we need to use get attribute for that. For just average ID, we don't need to use get attribute, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because right now this user ID is a custom attribute, right?
Yeah, custom. Okay, yeah.
So you can just create custom attribute for data and then just keep using that one. So before React, all front-end the web developers using data to store like this. Because sometimes you have to store like this here, and then when you click, you get that ID. Because this is like, and to your question, Nur Sultan. So here we don't have comments. I mean, here you can get ID from here, but
Is that inside?
It's not inside, right? Which
Oh.
comes trying to reach. So that's the problem.
It's
No, but this is inside the render data loop, right? And then we do have the
Not
comments.
inside.
What?
Is this inside loop? No, this is
Yeah.
not. This is inside loop, right? You see, this is outside of loop.
yes.
So you don't have.
What we're trying to do? I mean, there's a username when we click on a comment.
So we're trying to, if you click comment, we're trying to get that
Username.
information. Yeah, user ID.
Name? Oh,
Or name
ID.
or ID. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Let's get ID. Right. So
yeah, we are trying to get the user ID for every comment, right? So
every
different. Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, for example, who wrote this command? Okay, made a mistake. Who wrote this command? Maybe Raz. How about this? Omar. How about this? Mbrook. So when I click, you wouldn't be knowing which person wrote it if you didn't have this information. And you wouldn't be knowing, I cannot use here like a comment array because which index, I don't know, right? I'm just showing guys like different, like when you use JavaScript in a domain, these kind of dynamic things, just how you'll be working it. So in JavaScript, if you want to store data, usually in JavaScript, you have to store data on DOM and then later reach that one. In React, what you do is you'll be following similar thing, but in React, you can have access to data right from here. So in React, you will do this.
Props.
On
Oh.
click. So right, on click, right? On click, and we can just function right away. So function, usually, yeah, function. And this function, you already have access to this comment. So you need to store data and blah, blah, blah.
In JavaScript, we don't have the access of the comments in a parent function.
No, you do have access to comment, but right now this could be here. I mean,
I thought with like it goes like the parent, and we can access the parents variables and with it in the child.
You wouldn't be knowing which comment. You have access here, right? For example, console log. Comments, right? You have access to all comments.
Oh,
How do you know?
but you said we can. We don't.
No, we don't know which comment we clicked.
Okay.
And this function could be outside, right? Like this. At that point, then you don't have access at all because it's not.
Oh, comments is an array. I got. I know it's like an object with IDs and and the object ID key and then value is object and then it goes like that.
So I just wanted to show you guys widget dynamic, but we went a little bit deeper. But at the end, the goal is, so I showed you guys this, making an API call, dynamic leading, okay? And then using a function. So technically you guys can do this project. No, it's not here. It's like it's under React, like cocktail. You can build this full project using JavaScript because you're using Cocktail API. Okay, you're using Cocktail API and then building this. You guys want to build quickly? Or you guys want it different? Tell me, guys.
What was the question?
Is it right now or it's kind of homework?
I want to give you guys homework, but the question is, you guys want to, can you search, for example, here, A1. Well, actually, let's put search. Let's put search. Let's just put search into here, okay? You guys have access. Search. How is the homework? Try to do this cocktail project with JavaScript. If you guys can do this cocktail project, then it means because if you guys see cocktail project is it's a good one. It means you guys learned good. Okay.
We did the similar project with Azamat, with menu.
Yes, because I didn't see menu here. I see some projects we removed, but yeah, restaurant menu, right?
Even the
Yeah.
last.
Got it. Yeah. Was it API related to?
No, we just used the JSON. Oh no, object with the data.
Okay. Yeah. So now let's put it here. Search button. So if I click this, for example, sum, and then enter, and I should only see comments related to which has sum inside this. Let's brainstorm. How can we do it?
Filter out each time, case up.
Yeah, each time filter out, right? How can I get the data that we search? Oh, no, it's not inside here though, right? Because, let me remove this style. So when I click, I have to get from here, right? So if I click search button, then const search text is what is it?
Inner text.
Document or selector, not the search, but input that inner text. Agree?
Yes.
I think so. Oh, okay. Text content text.
So
was-
value.
Oh, value. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Good. Now I have this search text, and how can I filter it? Data is already there.
Get
I-
all the data.
Yes. So when I did something like this, I created empty array to put all objects what was filtered.
Okay.
Yes, and I used for loop for off. I used for off.
Okay. So right now I need to have access to this data, right?
Yes.
I can have access to this data two ways. First one is, well, I can get data, right, from DOM,
Mhm.
right? Like I can just get like all data technically. Yeah, I can get, what is the username? So I can this document query selected all dot comment, right? I can get this. Yeah, I have now all this data, and I can get this data as well. Comment that. Yeah, I can get and then filter out. But that's not a good idea. What's the other way?
The other way to grab this data.
Yeah. So then I will use original data. Original data is where?
We used for each for comment we could make it is like as a variable and use it here.
Yeah. So data is comment data is here, right? Comments to be more precise. But I cannot reach from here. So it means what should I do? It means I have to put into global Very
Oh,
good, right?
well,
So I could use like const comments by default array. Well, not the const, but length, right? Because we'll be updating later. And here, okay. Let me use all comments to avoid this same. All comments is equal to comments. So here, right now, I have access to all comments. Search, now I have access to all comments. Good. So right now what I do, I'll just filter and then do it again. So I'm just showing, so when your project is getting bigger and bigger, so you'll start maintaining your code and then organizing your code. Okay. So let's do it quickly. So here, right now, what I need to do, const search, let's use result is equal to what I need to do, guys. All comments and what?
Filter,
There.
callback.
Yeah, I'll be using arrow function. So data dot, okay, let me use comment. So I have to return if comment that
body
body
is include,
Equals,
maybe
oh, includes, yeah.
equals search text.
equals search text. Okay. So console log result. So if I do
This,
I think
you, yeah, now I have 5. So we're good, right?
good practice to use two lowercase because we have different.
Good idea. Body includes, well, we have to use, I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
but we got the point. Here we could improve it. So now we have result. So we have to take the result and then render back to DOM. How can I do that?
push or
clear
just
out the old data and then the new.
But now,
front.
good thing was we already separated this, right? If we didn't separate, then that would be the problem though, right? If it was inside here, then now we have to separate. So right now what I could do is just render data and then result. So,
Yes, I think we had all comments.
because we already had all comments. So here inside render data, then what we could do is clear, right? Empty. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yes, it's
Good.
clear.
Yeah, we all did. We made an API call. We rendered. We added search function also to the dynamic data, right? And during that period, we learned what? We learned how to organize our code. If you keep organizing code like this, when you start doing React, you will see, oh, I see. I see why React is here. I see React is like way easier. Because JavaScript itself is not it's not easy to do like bigger applications. Because think about building the whole Facebook using this, right? You will have like bunch of data, bunch of functions, different places, like you can reach it like global, like it will be a huge problem. React is just provide more like separated. And
More
React
scalable.
definitely more scalable. And then React is saying that, okay, just let me like how I'm gonna do it, I'll do, just tell me what you want it, and the rest I'll do. Okay. Any question, guys?
No.
Okay, if you guys couldn't miss, I mean, try to do the same thing on your own, guys. So I see here like one problem. What is one problem? So if sum, now I have it. If I search R, will we have it?
I don't know.
Maybe.
If yes, why? If no, why? Well, in fact, if I do console log, what is it? All comments here. What we will see right now.
All comments.
Datas.
Just one data.
Oh, we need to
So if I-
re-update it.
I
We need
click
to
R,
we need a new one.
there's nothing. If I click again all comments, then nothing. Why? Because every time after I filter, I'm calling render data. But in fact, render data is just updating all comments here, right? So
Yes.
this is not a good supposed to be here. Okay. Sum, click, yes, I'll do R, click, yes, I'll just do this, click, yes, and it comes everything. Cool, good job. I like it. We use it, we learn it. I just wanted to like when project is going bigger and bigger, I wanted to show you guys like how to organize your code, create like functions so you could separate. So it's easy to scale, and then the naming function. For example, here you need to read the code, and then you have to understand, oh, what is this? Or read the function, and then even like before checking the result, you have to understand what it is doing. So since we separate this code, it was for us easy just calling that render data again. Okay. And
Yes.
here we use it new ways or a new way of adding HTML, dynamic HTML into here. So that was good. Use it for loop. I mean, our code is not that big actually, but we created dynamic. We did the dynamic application with a select function, and if in fact later for this comment we could also add. My ideal goal was when you click any make another API call to do this to get a single comment. And there are some like limitations. Skip. Okay. But we're good. You guys learned it. Cool. Any question, guys? So when we say Ajax, so when you say like making API call, so no need to be afraid. What you guys see right now, you guys know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, API. Here, what part is API? Only this part is API, right? Just one function. That is just JavaScript DOM. And here API by default it's get, but we could use like post and then a couple others. Okay. Cool. Any question, guys? Any question from anybody? Did we understand the class? If yes,
Yes,
please
100%.
Please practice, because if you don't practice today, tomorrow, then after a couple of weeks, couple of days, you will say that during the class I was following everything pretty easily, but when I try to do on my own, I just don't know where to start. So to avoid that kind of problem, you have to do on your own, following, but not like line by line, but following logic by logic. Okay, now I want to add search button to this. Okay, let me try to a search button. If you're stuck, then okay, why stuck? Oh, I have to take an object, I mean array, and then put into like global state so I could reach the data. Okay, so that kind of like practice on your own by logic. So because when you have this kind of problems, you should be able to come up with the solution right away, which comes with practice. Cool. Thank you, guys. I hope you guys liked. I hope it was helpful, but definitely a practice, because every day you guys will be using API. Okay. And during interview, they might ask you, okay, this is an API. Now make an API call and then render data. You'll be writing that rendering data in Google Doc without console log,
After fill?
without testing it. During interviews, they might ask that questions.
Okay.
That's okay. Use fetch or whatever you use. Just this is API. How write me an API call and then the result show me this. Okay. So
Yes.
okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Okay. Thank you for the class. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Marat.
Yeah.
Good night.